like I'm gonna spew clue goo everywhere.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Tudor. I hardly
We're not
know
starting.
her.
That's not the start.
What? Are you disagreeing with me?
You can't just start the episode in the middle of me saying clue goo.
Yes. All right. Well, now that's the start. Clue goo.
Okay.
How you doing, Garrett?
I'm good, Emily. How are you?
I am all right.
God, you just took this podcast by the reins and you just went with it.
Well, I was nervous Jeff was going to cut out some of the stuff I wanted to keep in it. So if I start it in the middle, he has to keep it.
He doesn't have to keep all of it. Like, we can just fade in and then have a little scrapbook at the very end of the episode where it's all the stuff that we talked about before.
Ooh, we should do.
Except I do it completely out of order.
Hey, can we do a clip episode of the podcast? Like, how fucking funny would that be if we just sat about reminiscing about last episodes and then Jeff interspersed them?
Oh my god, that'd be great.
We should.
I'm thinking like the Clerks episode where there's only one episode and the second episode's a clip show.
We should totally do a clip episode. Well, let's make clip podcast episodes a thing. We're going to do that.
How about we do a clip episode where it's all stuff that we haven't done yet? So it's all new content.
Yes. Let's make both of those happen.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Tudor. I hardly know.
You can't take the reins. I already took the reins.
They're mine now.
No, mine.
Give it to me.
I will fight you for this horse.
So, yeah, that's Emily. I'm Garrett.
I'm
Jeff's
Jeff.
also there.
We're the cool kids who teach you stuff about stuff and things.
No, that's presumptuous if you say we're cool.
Hey, dude, we've got some people on Facebook who are... We have somebody who's making a drinking game to our episodes.
Is his name Garrett Kaser? Because I've been doing that since episode 1.
No. It is the person who I said is from the Netherlands and is a man, but in fact, she is a woman. So...
Okay, so I saw the name too, and I thought it was Henrik.
I thought it was too, and I feel very bad. So I've apologized, but I'm sorry again. But
We
but I
are
just didn't
so
want to say
sorry. We
anything.
don't know what your name is, and I can't be bothered to look it up right now, but I apologize.
But she's making a drinking game whenever we come up with a new movie idea. So we're very sorry that you're going to be waterfalling for the rest of the time you listen to our podcast. No,
That's
Gary.
my favorite thing to do, though.
Waterfall or make other people drink?
Oh, both. Also, making up movie ideas.
Yeah, it's a good time. I enjoy it. I'm gonna be interested to see. Oh, I know what we're doing for this episode's movie. I've already got an episode name and everything.
Anyway, Emily, what are we talking about this week?
Jeff had this idea. We're gonna talk about the year 1536. You seem very thrilled about that. This was a good call. So.
Well, this episode's a failure. Might as well call it quits now.
Fuck
Good night,
it.
everybody.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll take audience requests. I hear nothing, so therefore we're going with 1536. Are you ready, Garrett?
Okay.
Oh, I don't have a Henry fact.
What's so great about 1536 anyway?
Well, I think I've told you guys that a lot of shit happened that year, and I once
Oh yeah, that's when
like fucking.
that's when he fell off that horse, wasn't it?
I thought you said I thought you said that's when he felt that horse,
Also, yes.
and that's when Henry got into bestiality.
No, that was the fourth wife.
Wow, Jeff. Wow.
That was a good one. Bravo.
Thank you. Golf clap.
Yes, that's when he fell off the horse, and then a bunch of other shit happened. So you ready?
Yes.
Is that where that phrase comes from?
Felt the horse?
Fell off the horse. Like when someone the example I usually think of is you're an alcoholic, but you start drinking, you've quit, but you start drinking, man, you really fell off the horse.
You fell off the bandwagon, Jeff, not the fucking...
No, bandwagon is when you're on something that's popular.
No, it's
The
he's
wagon.
off the wagon again.
You fell off the wagon.
It's not horse.
Fell off the horse. The phrase I think you're thinking of is if you fall off the horse, you got to get back on it. And I'm pretty sure when Henry was...
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
I think the phrase is holy fuck, guys.
Sidetrack.
This educational moment.
Okay, Jeff, let's compromise. So until they invented wagons, they said, "Oh, he's off the horse again," and then they invented wagons. They're like, "Horses, forget about that."
And then somebody invented the wagon.
That's how the wagon was made, kids.
Henry VIII made it. That's your fun
Make
fact.
sure you put that down for your next history final.
Really,
Their test question is going to be who invented the wagon, and they'll be like, I fucking know this.
I would love that. There's actually like students who are listening to our podcast,
And then
like,
it was actually some man named Matt Wagon or something.
there's
And they're
just-
like, how the fuck did I get that wrong? He would have called it Henry VIII. Like, he just would have been like, everybody get on the Henry VIII. Gotta get into town, pick up our fruits and vegetables.
all right, we're super sidetracked now.
No, it's cool. People like it. You ready? So,
Yes.
1536. Shit went down. What do you guys remember about happening in 1536?
Henry started drinking and he fell off the horse again.
Poor alcoholic.
Somebody
Actually-
died.
Anne Boleyn.
Anne Boleyn.
Anne Boleyn died.
Yes.
Let's see what else happened. Because when he fell off the horse, that's when he started maybe going crazy.
Yeah.
Did one of his kids get sick?
And
Died.
yes. Anything else?
I mean, there's not really any way to follow that one up.
No. Could have been just sick.
Okay.
Do you know? Okay, well, one last big thing happened. Billy Idol has a song called Something Yell.
He
The rebellion?
Yay,
the
Jeff.
rebellion.
Yay!
Billy Idol led a rebellion.
Was it led by Princess Leia?
Just a battalion of 1,000 men with their lips raised up in rebellion.
You can laugh, Sarah. We can cut it out. Today we have an audience member, and she's trying really hard to be quiet, and it's really funny because she's like
Holding it all
yeah.
in and turning beet red.
So, this is our live episode. We're actually in a big theater, and there's one person here.
Let's hear it for the fan.
There you go.
Sarah, can you please just like woo quietly in the background?
She
whenever
is
there's, like, a
wooing
funny
quietly
joke?
in the background.
Thank you. This podcast is haunted.
Okay, you guys ready? We can start at the beginning.
Okay, let's start this.
January 1st,
Actually,
1536.
yeah, we are starting in January. So shit went down almost ASAP in 1536.
This was like 2016 where everyone kept dying.
Oh my God, 1536 was the 2016 of the 1500s.
Yeah.
They even had an orange man in office. Jesus Christ. That just even scared our cat. Sorry, Tedra. We hope it won't happen again. Okay. So Anne Boleyn was pregnant. Yay.
Yep.
Could have a boy.
Which baby was
She's gonna
this?
have a great year.
So here's the thing. We actually don't know how many pregnancies Anne Boleyn had.
Huh.
Really?
It was definitely at least her second, but it could have been her third, or possibly her fourth. So
Jeez.
there's a possibility that in like 1534, late 1334, she actually had a baby and went full term and just delivered him, and he died quickly. But the gynecological records were not well kept, and when Henry divorced her, he was like, fuck that bitch, and burned everything that would have... He, like, actually got rid of the court records of her trial. That's how much
Did
he
you
hated
just say
her.
gynecological records?
Yeah.
Were those a thing back then?
Yeah, they recorded the birth of her, of
Okay.
Elizabeth, and this last one.
Okay.
Now, I mean, like, it wasn't like there was an MD standing by, like an intern taking notes, asking about, the doctors. No, it was more like... So the best resources for anything happening in the court was Ambassador Chapuis, the Spanish ambassador. He liked to talk. He was a gossip. Oh, Garrett, I meant to tell you. My sister-in-law sent me the funniest freaking message about our last episode. You know how Wolsey, or how Henry VIII took Wolsey's castle?
Yes.
She messaged me and she goes, I'm listening to episode 25 and chuckling to myself because Henry VIII made Wolsey give him his castle. He totally Regina Georged his castle. I was so mad that we didn't think about that during the episode. It was my parents' room. I made them trade me.
It's been a long time since I've seen Mean Girls, so I don't know if I
Well,
would have been able
check
to make
that.
a
Same here.
Check
Mean Girls joke.
But
you know it.
What was I talking about? Gynecological
Birth.
records. So
Yeah.
She was pregnant.
Okay.
Start January 7th, Catherine of Aragon dies. You know how we're talking about Henry VIII started drinking and fell off the bandwagon? There's a possibility Catherine became a drunk later in her life.
Really?
Yeah, but
Did she fall off the horse?
she fell off the horse and into a barrel of whiskey.
You thought you had the title for this episode, but it's definitely going to be Fell Off the Horse.
No. I think I got one that
If
might
it's
be.
anything but, I will be very cross with you.
How about we do it like
That's
we do
the
the King Naps,
parentheses.
Tutors, and Space one?
Yes.
Okay, so I can't remember. I think I was reading it. Or no, I think it was being talked about in the Queen's podcast that Catherine kind of got a little tipsy a lot. But she had been ill for a while. But then in December of 1535, she had some Welsh beer and she felt worse. So there were there was rumors that she was poisoned, but like people really hated Anne Boleyn, so they were just like blaming her for anything. And then the autopsy was performed, and the guy who autopsied her was like, all of her organs are healthy except her heart is black, so clearly she was poisoned. Except
No, she died of a broken heart.
she probably died
Aw.
of cancer because there was a
That
big
too.
black tumor hanging onto the heart, and the autopsy guy was a candle maker.
Was it a Tudor tumor?
It was a Tudor tumor. No, the guy who cut her open and pulled out her organs was a candle maker. Ew.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Oh, I just do this. I do the autopsy stuff on the weekends. It's just a hobby of mine.
he was the first taxidermist. So Catherine died on January 7th. Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn reportedly wore yellow in celebration, except in Spain it was a sign of mourning. So I like to imagine that Henry was secretly mourning her and Anne was like, yeah, we're so happy, and she wore yellow, so like she was doing it to celebrate and Henry was doing it to mourn, but whatever, doesn't really matter. So then on January 24th, Henry had his jousting accident where he fell off the horse and into a barrel of wine, and then he hopped back on the wagon, and there was a lot of like Cirque du Soleil type shit happening. So he fell off the horse and things were bad.
That was
But
during a jousting tournament?
it was a jousting tournament.
Okay.
So Garrett, you know how last week you asked if Greenwich was pronounced Greenwich?
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's Greenwich. I actually now don't know because I was listening to an audiobook and they kept saying Greenwich, but I couldn't, it was an audiobook, so I couldn't just look down and see if it was Greenwich. So I'm going to use those interchangeably.
I've definitely heard the pronunciation Greenwich, but it could be two different places.
I could text the British guy I know and ask him.
Yeah, I'm going to say they have some weird pronunciations because remember there's the one place.
Leicester.
Yeah. But it looks like Leicester or something.
It looks like Leicester and it's pronounced Leicester, but still Worcestershire is pronounced Worcestershire instead of Wester. Hold on, let me ask.
Worcestershire.
Except it's not. It's Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
The
I don't think
Shire's over
anybody knows
there.
how to pronounce that.
Hold on, I'm messaging the British guy about pronouncing Greenwich/Greenwich.
Oh my God! Just Google it.
No, I have a British guy.
I got a guy. It's okay.
Don't you think he feels taken advantage of? It's like, hey, British guy.
No.
How do you say this
He lets-
British
I
thing?
do that actually a
He
lot.
especially loves it when we just call him the British guy.
You know what else makes for great radio? Messaging friends on Facebook.
He's not a friend.
He's just a guy we know.
I just found a
hang
British
out
man.
with occasionally.
It's okay. Okay, so now that we're gonna get that answer, so the injury was serious, but not sure how serious. Some reports were just saying like, oh, he wasn't injured, but other reports are saying he might have been unconscious for 2 hours.
Because that's like where his like leg just got completely
No.
messed.
That was in 1524 when his leg. So
Oh.
in 1524 he had another accident where he fell off a horse. No. He got jousted in the face.
Title.
Face.
I need.
So Henry got jousted in the face in 15.
I need to get like a doorman's bell where you just ding and just hit it every time we come up with the title.
Drink.
Another.
So. In 1524 is when he fell off the horse, and that's when he cut his leg open. And in 1536 he fell off again, and that's what kind of made it so that it never closed again. But
Okay.
some reports, Chapuis included, said that he had not been injured. But another report, I think from the French ambassador, said that he had been unconscious for 2 hours. So I'm wondering if maybe Chapuis meant there was no like physical bleeding open wound.
He wasn't like his arm snapped or something
Yeah.
like that, or he didn't break any bones.
Yeah. So
So maybe he got a concussion.
So here's the thing.
The thing is, they didn't probably understand what a
No,
concussion
no.
was back then.
Guys, the Will Smith movie says that we didn't understand concussions until Will Smith discovered them.
Tell the truth.
That was a really good Will Smith impersonation.
You sound
Of him
like
impersonating a
prepubescent
doctor.
Will Smith.
Oh gosh, guys, tell the truth.
Fucking Morty is apparently. This is gonna be a good one, guys. So he fell off the horse.
We're only in January.
So he fell off the horse, and somebody told Anne Boleyn, who was pregnant, reminder, and she was very frightened. So possibly serious head injury. So U.S. researchers last year said that they had done, so they were researching Henry's mental health, and they assumed that they literally were like, we just assumed he was a sociopath. But it turns out that they think that from the 1536 head injury plus the 1524 injury plus another horsing injury he just had severe head trauma, concussions, lots of concussions, and the 1536 one just kind of pushed him off the horse. So it could have led to his explosive anger, headaches, and head injuries do lead to explosive anger, headaches, insomnia, inability to control impulses, and possibly impotence. And he kind of had all of that. And this is not just like some 12-year-old who's like, I like to research. This is the Yale Memory Clinic. So real researchers. So they think that the head injuries led to a lot of his issues. And I believe that for the following reasons. So in January 29, 5 days later, Anne Boleyn miscarries, and Catherine of Aragon is simultaneously buried. She was about 3.5 months along, and when she miscarried, they knew it was a boy. So she could have miscarried. She blamed the shock of hearing about Henry's injury and the fear of losing him. But others suggest that she had like walked in on Henry with Jane Seymour on his knee, and she's shocked about that. So there were rumors, apparently. Remember, Anne Boleyn wasn't liked. There was one rumor that she wasn't pregnant at all and had actually faked a miscarriage to get out of her fake pregnancy. Another rumor was that some other suggestion currently is that she had another fucking phantom pregnancy. Like,
Phantom babies.
I guess that was the flu of the 1500s was phantom pregnancies. But like, don't believe any rumor about Anne Boleyn, because there were also rumors that she bathed in milk to keep her skin very white.
That's
So
what I do.
I
just prefer bleach.
I just do the Elizabeth I method and slather myself in white lead paint. So
This is okay.
I feel tired all of a sudden.
oh, fun fact, Elizabeth, okay, apparently in the Tudor times they thought lipstick had healing powers, and when Elizabeth died, she had like 1/2 inch of lipstick on her mouth.
They just peel it off.
Like, yeah. So, fun fact.
Like in Batman and Robin.
Oh my god, Elizabeth I becomes poison ivy.
I'm
Rubber
poison.
lips. Poison doesn't work on rubber lips. That movie is so good, guys.
Next time I'm down there, we're gonna watch it.
Okay. Riff tracks or actual?
No, just us.
And then we'll riff tracks it.
Just an intimate night of us, a glass of wine, and Batman and Robin.
As long as you bring the rubber lips and I'll bring the bat nipples. It's going to be a good time.
Fucking
bat nipples. Anyway, let's get back to it.
1536.
1536. Okay, so that was in January. February was pretty tame. Nothing happened of consequence. In March, Henry and Cromwell began the dissolution of the monasteries, which was when they were like, I don't want any more monks in my country, so GTFO, and they took all of the houses. And then they're like...
Movie idea.
What?
I got a movie idea.
Tell me.
Henry VIII was just a mild-mannered monarch.
Yeah, right.
And then when he fell off his horse in 1536, he somehow gained superpowers and becomes a crime fighter.
Garrett, you're right. It's pronounced Greenwich.
Man, I'm good.
Yeah, you are. Thanks, British friend.
Also, Cromwell's his sidekick.
Cromwell is Robin.
Come along, Cromwell.
What's his bat signal? What's Henry VIII's bat signal? Is it ha? Is it just
H-A?
H-A?
Turkey leg.
What?
A big old turkey leg.
With a bite in it.
It's actually all of his like gadgets and stuff. There's a turkey leg that's also a grappling hook.
Oh man, he
and
stores all
goes,
his
like,
gadgets in his
His codpiece!
His codpiece.
Oh, that's his utility belt.
His utility codpiece.
Oh, don't we all have a utility codpiece?
Also, he's got that mace gun.
Yeah. Who needs courage when you have a mace gun?
With this mace and this gun, I can make a mace gun. So in March, they began the dissolution of the monasteries. On March 18th, Edward Seymour, who's Jane Seymour's brother, was appointed to the Privy Chamber, and the Boleyns were really pissed about this because they were rivals. On April 18th, so this is kind of why I support the whole Henry had a brain injury thing. Yeah, the ambassador Chapuis, the Spanish ambassador, hated Anne Boleyn. He only called her the concubine. He refused to acknowledge her. He refused to bow to her. He refused to kiss her hand. He didn't want to acknowledge her as the queen. So Cromwell went to Chapuis and said, hey, could you do the king a favor and recognize Anne? And Chapuis was like, I have to listen to the king, but I really, really, really don't want to. Could you please not make me do it? So Cromwell told that to the king, and the king was like, God damn it. So then they kind of tricked Chapuis into having to recognize her. They were coming from the chapel. They were in the church, so they were in the holy area. And Anne's brother George kind of maneuvered the situation so that for some reason Chapuis had to acknowledge her. He bowed to her. She bowed to him, and then he bowed to her. So that was a big victory for the Boleyns and for Henry because he was like, hey, look, my wife, she's being acknowledged. And that's something he'd been fighting for throughout Europe because like the kings wouldn't let their children marry Elizabeth because they considered her a bastard and all that shit. So, so that's kind of, I'm like, why would Henry go through the effort of Chapuis, of working to make Chapuis recognize Anne and then like basking in the victory of it? And around that time, Henry was still saying Elizabeth was his heir. There was another issue where Chapuis was, or where Cromwell was trying to create a treaty between Spain and some other kingdom. So like a three-way treaty. He wanted like a country orgy. And Chapuis was like, okay, we're in, but only if you recognize Mary as your heir. And Henry was like, fuck off. Elizabeth is my heir. So I'm like, why would he, if he was planning on just tossing Anne out within a month, literally a month, why would he have made so much effort? And I don't think it was just so that he could be right. Like sometimes I'm like, maybe he just did it so that he could be right. But I don't think so. So, April, and Henry blew up when Chapuis said, recognize Mary. Henry like went off the deep end and was like, fuck off. Okay, so April 23rd, 5 days later, there was an Order of the Garter opening, and Anne Boleyn was like, hey, you should totally give that to my brother George. And Henry was like, fuck off, I'm going to give it to a Seymour. So that was Bad News Bears. And then on April 25th, 2 days later, Henry was writing letters to ambassadors, and he said, "My most dear and most entirely beloved wife and I are hoping for sons." So he could have been lying. He could have been like, "I'm just putting on a face because I don't want to look bad." He could have been like, I'm just trying to, I don't want anybody to be aware. I don't want spies to find out that I'm trying to off my wife. I don't know. I still think it has to do with
It really thinks he was just crazy at that point.
I really think that's,
well,
and not even crazy. He just had head trauma. Like he was ill.
He wasn't stable.
Right. So then on April 30th, Anne was seen begging Henry to acknowledge Elizabeth. She was apparently carrying Elizabeth, and she and Henry were arguing, and she was trying to force Henry to be all over Elizabeth in a non-sexual, loving way. So then Mark Smeaton was arrested on that day as well. May 30th. No, sorry. Then in May, all the shit went down. Anne was arrested. The craziness happened really quickly. She was executed on May 19th. On May 20th, Henry was formally betrothed to Jane Seymour. And on May 30th, he was married to Jane Seymour. So on April 18th, he was tricking ambassadors into recognizing his wife as queen. And on May 30th, a month and a half later, he's marrying other women.
Jeez.
It's
Boy moves fast.
right. It's just so weird. Like I gotta think.
Well, it's like
it's the head trauma thing.
It's like we talked about before, how he went like 30 years with Catherine.
20 some odd years with her.
And then went to Anne, and then
and he was with Anne for 10 years.
And then all of a sudden this just hits, and that's like
1536, guys.
It just goes. He just goes off the deep end and starts going crazy. That's when like all this really
and a
crazy
symptom
stuff
of head
happening.
trauma is poor impulse control.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that he was being manipulated because Anne had pissed off Cromwell. Anne's family and Anne herself had gotten Cromwell kind of into power, and then she bickered with him around this time. And I think Cromwell recognized that he didn't want her in the picture. So I think Cromwell was intensely powerful, and he was able to manipulate Henry.
He's a villain. So we talked about that.
Fucking Cromwell.
Cromwell.
Every time I hear the name, the only thing I can think of is just like a cartoonish, like villain.
He
like,
is.
Guy who
do you guys
plays
remember
him.
Rebecca
I'm
Dinosaur?
trying-
Twirling mustache.
Because the guy who played him in The Tudors, I think.
He's the villain in it. He's in every
he's
Tudor.
usually a lot of times plays villains. Is he the one in Orphan Black?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah, he always plays this really just he fits the
He's a good
Cromwell.
villain.
Like I can actually visualize him being Cromwell.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
If you guys remember the movie We're Back in Dinosaur Story, I can only imagine like the villain from that movie, like the crazy old man with a screw eye.
Hey Garrett, I've never seen that movie. Can you please give me a
synopsis?
synopsis?
There's
What's that?
dinosaurs in their back.
Oh fuck. That was a good synopsis.
Yeah, I
Who
try.
needs Spark Notes when you've got Jeffrey?
Hi.
Jeff Notes.
Okay, so in
Oh man, I didn't read that book for the English paper. Oh, just use Jeff Notes.
hey Jeff, what's the synopsis of Moby Dick?
There's
There's
a whale. He's a dick.
There's a whale. He's a big dick.
What's the synopsis of Tom Sawyer?
Racism.
No, that was Huck Finn, wasn't it?
Also yes.
It's been a while.
Okay, so in June, nothing exciting happened. Probably lots of Jane Seymour banging. In July, Mary and Elizabeth were declared illegitimate. I'm actually surprised it took that long. And then the 10 articles were published, and that was just basically the doctrines of the religious Reformation.
Like the commandments.
The what?
The commandments.
Yes. I thought you said commandments.
Commandments.
Here's a question that I have real quick.
Yeah?
Henry's marriage to Catherine was annulled, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was?
Yes.
And what was his reasoning behind it?
Incest.
Incest. Catherine had been married to his brother, and they'd had sex, so that made Catherine his sister, so he couldn't sleep with his sister. And yet he was going to try and get his children to marry each other, fucker.
Was he?
Yeah. Yeah. He was trying to get his his bastard married to Mary. Or a pope suggested it. It was in the mix for a while.
Okay.
It was
I'm sure his reasoning was, well, if I do it, it's icky, but if my kids do it, it's cool.
Hear me out.
anything children do is cute.
Honey, I mean, look, he's got my genes. He's kind of a hottie, right?
Okay, so July 22nd, his bastard, he dies. He had tuberculosis. And here's another reason Henry may have been mentally injured. So Henry Fitzroy was quietly buried by the Duke of Norfolk. The king actually said, hey, could you do this? But then a few days after the funeral, Henry forgot his role in the funeral and accused Norfolk of inappropriate behavior towards Fitzroy. Now, the way that was worded made me seem like he'd hit on Fitzroy, like he was like making a sexual pass at him. But I think what it actually means is the king was upset that Norfolk had done a quiet burial, forgetting that the king had said, hey, please do a quiet burial. So there's that memory loss. The rest of the summer passed pretty peacefully. And then in October, the pilgrimage of the Grace, Billy Idol showed up. And this was the original Occupy Wall Street. So there was a protest of lots and lots and lots of people, and they were really upset about the suppression of the religious houses.
All of them college kids.
And they were like, we want free education. So they demanded an end of the collection of subsidies. The 10 articles would be repealed. They wanted the end of the dissolution of the monasteries. They wanted the end of the taxes in peacetime. And I'm like, who the fuck wouldn't want that? Like, I could support that. They wanted to purge the heretics in government, particularly Cromwell. They really didn't like him because he was also, I think he was a blacksmith's son. And then they wanted to repeal something called the Statute of Uses. And I looked that up, and every time I looked it up, it'd be like, the Statute of Uses is when the uses are no longer collected. So then I clicked the uses link, and it's like, it's when this word that you've never heard of is repealed. And I'm like, okay, so I clicked that word, and I ended up like 5 Wikipedia articles deep.
Eventually you made it to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I did. I won the Kevin Bacon game with the Statute of Uses. So I don't know what that actually means. Sorry, guys. So this was all part of the Lincolnshire.
If anybody does know quite what that means, let us know.
CV play.
Please.
So that was part of the Lincolnshire uprising. Probably pronouncing that fucking wrong too.
It's called Lincolnshire.
It's pronounced Wester. So there were 40,000 demonstrators, and they marched on Lincoln and occupied Wall Street. I mean, the Lincoln Cathedral. And they were like, hey, we just want to keep being Catholic, and we want the treasures in the churches to be protected, so please don't take those. And they were like, also, we want the nuns to keep living in their houses. So the king was like, get the fuck out or face my forces. And so they're like, okay, cool. It was led by a monk.
Okay.
That you present a strong argument. I will leave. So it was led by a monk and a shoemaker, and that's not the beginning of a joke. That's just the way it was. And then the candle maker appeared, and he goes, hey, look, I found a heart. So then the vicar of Louth or Louth, Louth, I don't give a fuck. Him and Captain Cobbler.
Is that one of his arch nemesis?
That's one of the DC.
Captain Cobbler? Get the fuck out of here.
He
Emily.
was the DC villain who had to face the shoemaker.
Emily, please do me a favor and read that person's real name.
I swear to God, it's Captain Cobbler.
What the hell? mean,
Captain
if I were a
Cobbler.
superhero, I'd want to be Captain Cobbler.
How about this episode be titled Captain Cobbler and the original Occupy Wall Street? That'd be a good magazine, or that'd be a good.
Was that the one you had planned?
No, it was going to be the original Occupy Wall Street.
Oh,
But
I don't know. Off the Horse is really good.
so Captain Cobbler and the Vicar of Louth.
What?
Louth. I told you. I already pronounced it wrong.
God.
You know what? Time out. We've come up with so many names for this episode. Let's just call it Untitled,
No.
and we'll let the listeners decide what they want this episode to be called.
But they like our funny episode names. We get compliments on them. There's a reason we're running the podcast, Garrett. We can call it the original Occupy Wall Street, Captain Cobbler, and the guy who fell off the horse.
That sounds like a child's fable.
Or the next DC movie.
Oh my God! And there's a candlestick maker too.
This is a goddamn adventure, guys. So they were the main leaders, and they were captured and hanged at Tyburn. But then the actual pilgrimage of the Grace happened on October 14th. It was led by Robert. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. After the captain was executed, I'm not saying his name again. There were a bunch of other ringleaders who were executed over 12 days. I don't think it was a ton, but it was, handful here and there. And then the actual pilgrimage of the Grace happened on October 13th. Robert Aske was leading it, and he led 9,000 insurgents into York, and they occupied it. Oh, they were the ones who were like, hey, we just want the nuns and monks to live in their homes again. And they were like, we also just want to practice our Catholic faith. So there were more people involved in that one. I think the same people from the previous couple of weeks also appeared. So there were like 40,000 people. And Henry was like, hey, Norfolk, go out and deal with this shit because I don't want to. And so Norfolk went out and he was like, guys, I promise Henry's a good guy. He's a gem. He'll let you go. Tell me what you want and I'll get it for you. And they were like, oh, cool. We trust you. You look like a very trustworthy person. Man dripping in jewels. So they were like, look, we just want to get rid of, we want Cromwell to be gone and we want to be able to practice our Catholic faith. And Norfolk was like, you got it. And so he went back to Henry and Henry was like, nope, get the fuck out. And then 216 people were executed. And that was the end of the pilgrimage of the Grace.
For some reason, they never argued after that point.
They were pretty peaceful.
Anybody else want to go on a pilgrimage?
No.
We're good.
And that's the end of 1536.
When was all that?
1536.
No. Month.
October was like the big uprising, but then the executions happened in February of 37.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, those don't count.
So,
Okay. Well, thank you, Emily.
yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Jeff, we will now open the floor to questions for you and myself. I've got a question.
I have an answer. Probably not.
I don't know about that.
42.
Were there any other big events for people that weren't directly so close to Henry or Henry himself?
Like, was it 2016 for everyone? Or was it just
Yeah.
2016 for Hank VIII? I mean, I Googled 1536 events and shit happened that year, but I don't give a fuck about other countries at that point.
Fair enough.
Tell us how you really feel.
I mean, I'll learn about it later. I don't know.
So you're saying, so what you're saying is it was pretty much all just Henry stuff.
Just a lot of stuff happened around Henry.
It was just like Henry-focused shittiness. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Any other questions, Jeffrey? Our fun fact for the week is that Henry VIII invented the wagon. He hid the pieces in his codpiece.
For those who can't see at home, Emily's now
Miming
pulling
shit
stuff
of
from
a
her crotch and building a wagon.
Is that a wagon wheel in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Oh, that's my dick. Oh, God, it's very curved. Yeah, the doctor says it's normal.
Because if he says it's not normal, I'll behead him.
It's treasonous.
This is normal, right?
Why, yes, my lord.
My peepee's huge.
Any other questions, guys?
That's all I can think of for now.
Now, was it after this injuries when he started becoming the iconic
Tyrant? Yeah. Because he
Henry?
couldn't exercise anymore. He
Yeah,
was really,
because the leg.
Yeah, he loved exercise. Like, I mean, you have to be fit to
Well,
ride
that's
a
what he talked
horse
about. He was
and
a
hunt.
pretty active guy
Yeah, and,
through
like,
his
he-
youth.
I mean, his subturating ulcer kind of stopped that. So,
Oh. How old was Henry this year?
he was born in. He became king in 1509, and he was 17. Hold on. Bad math. Jeff, please cut this out and pretend I'm good.
He would have been 48.
45. 44.
Close.
Yeah. I mean, it was still pretty good looking. Like, he might have gained a little bit of weight just because of age, but
I feel like the way they made him look in the Tudors and near the end of his quotations fat look of him. I feel like that's how he might have more actually looked before maybe
John
the
Rhys
accident.
John Rhys Davies refused to put on a fat suit for the end years, so they were like, all right, I guess you're just going to wear 50-pound clothes. So,
Why wouldn't he put a fat suit on?
because it's John. I mean, John Rhys Davies kind of looks like a giant douchebag. Like,
He did play Henry VIII.
he looks like a giant douchebag for the entirety of he looks like a guy you date in high school.
I
in the
did always
first
like
couple
seeing him like in the
years.
beginning of the series.
Yeah,
with, like,
the first
the crazy
season-
shaved head
Yeah.
and like the sleeveless
Yeah,
vest he would always wear with his
Yeah.
like chest hanging out.
yeah. It's
What else has John Rhys Davies done?
Dracula and Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible 3.
Why couldn't it have been Jonathan Rhys Meyers?
That would have been actually pretty.
What about
awesome.
Jonathan Rhys? Wait. There's another Jonathan.
Wait, have we
Rhys.
been saying John Rhys Davies this whole time?
Yes.
Indy.
Holy fuck, I'd watch that.
Oh my gosh.
He would have
My
been a good
axe.
Correction for everybody. Jonathan Rhys Meyers played Henry Tudor.
Fetch my
Jonathan
axe.
Rhys Davies played Gimli in Lord of the Rings.
He actually could have. Man, you made him a little
That
taller.
would have been a really good Fat Henry.
Just Gimli a little bit taller.
He just changes in the third season.
Holy shit, I really want to Photoshop this.
The role of Henry VIII will now be played by Jonathan Rhys Davies.
Except it's not even that. It's now being played by Gimli.
Oh, man.
Guys. I'm crying.
My axe, your head.
Come here, man.
Okay, I'm really glad we made that mistake.
Woo! I think we went through the whole episode making that mistake.
That's your fun fact for the week, guys.
Fun facts. Jonathan Rhys Meyers plays Henry VIII.
Oh.
I hope there are people at home or in their cubicles like listening to this episode and just screaming at their iPod like, no, it's not him.
We got 2 people who commented that the codpiece fact from last week was having them in tears.
Good. That's hilarious.
It
That's
was.
good stuff.
Not as funny as Gimli the Eighth.
Anyway,
I'm dying.
Oh, we should end on that high note, guys.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Sarah, give
That
us
was
a
good.
woo.
So
Sarah, thank you.
we got a woo, woo girl.
Ghostly woo.
Garrett, Jeff requested this week's episode. What do you want to talk about next week?
Well, next week would be a person episode, right?
Well, technically, this week was supposed to be a person episode, so we don't really have to go in that order. But we could
Okay.
do a person.
So this, it may sound gross of me, but it's still like it seems pretty interesting, and it's been on my mind for a while. I'd like to talk about sex and love.
Oh, okay. I think we could do that.
I mean, do you think that could fill an episode? If not, cut it out, and then we'll come up with another one.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
Cool.
Well, and not just like sex and banging and doing it and screwing.
Oh, I have a
but-
funny story. One of our listeners messaged me asking, they were bar trivia, and there was a Henry VIII question, and he messaged me, and I missed it before the time was up, and he was like, "Oh, we got it wrong." The answer was Thomas More, but he answered Cardinal Wolsey, and
Classic mistake.
right. So I was like, "You failed me," and he goes, "Look, the answer wasn't divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived, goodbye." So I don't know what you expected.
If that's all people are taking from our podcast, then we're failing.
I mean, it's pretty memorable.
I mean, it is pretty memorable.
So
But yeah, if you think we can fill an episode with that, and not just the sex stuff, but
no,
like,
we could talk about it.
like
I have
romantic gestures of the day. And
Sleeping with the
yeah,
kings.
actually,
like
yeah,
that.
we can do a whole episode about like courtly love and what that actually meant. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Cool, good suggestion.
Didn't
we'll
you
do
just
that
read
next
a
time.
book too about
I
sleeping
did. It's
with
called
the kings?
Sex with Kings.
Oh,
It's
that's
about
right.
royal mistresses, and Anne Boleyn is mentioned in it.
Cool.
Okay, so you read that, and then I'll scour one of the many internet sites for.
That's called Pornhub. You can do that
I'll
regardless.
scour Pornhub for like Henry VIII roleplay.
Ew! Please no.
Turkey leg and everything.
Ew! Oh God!
Baby, give me
stop.
that turkey leg. No, give me that axe.
Okay, we can be done now.
On that note,
Until next time, guys.
where can we find
wait,
us?
wait, hold on. We got to pimp ourselves out.
Okay, review and rate us on iTunes, CV Play. On Twitter, you can find me sharing facts about what's going on, and I am very willing to engage in discussions. I've been doing that a lot this week. The Twitter handle is @TutorKnowHer, and you can find us on Facebook, where I share a lot of relevant articles, and we get into discussions, and I just show random shit. And our Facebook page is simply Tutor I Hardly Know Her. So find us there and engage with us, or don't, and fuck off.
Hey, no, don't fuck off.
Don't.
Fuck on.
That's the next episode.
Yeah, Garrett, fuck on is the next episode.
Okay. So until then, divorced,
Yeah,
beheaded,
died.
died.
Divorced, beheaded,
beheaded,
survived.
Survived.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Farewell.
Avidas and adieu.
I think we have to pay for that one.